Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for spending time this evening after a long day at work. Yeah, appreciate that. I'll spend the next 20 minutes to discuss and share my personal experience in Agile projects. And I'm happy to take some questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, my first encounter with Agile software development was probably on a e-commerce website project for a major listed company in Australia way back in 2007. It was a painful experience personally then, as the project team kept making major decision changes, and we only discovered the changes at each management update. So it's like every time it's a new discovery and a shock to the management. There's one meeting we remember that the team decided to change the language. They abandoned the whole all the what have developed and changed the language, and they have already started on it. So it was the kind of changes that we are talking about. So that time I didn't really truly understand then that it was not about the team. It was not about Agile. Actually, it was about myself not willing to let go. I think willing to let go to let the team to get the jobs done. So later on, I will share some of this experience as I progress with the evening. And then in 2012, that was when after I joined GovTech and appointed as a CIO for Ministry of Manpower, we had the opportunity to start a POC, a proof of concept, using Agile to deliver software differently. And the rest, I think, will be history in the sense that there's no turning back since. And I'm happy to share that Ministry of Manpower Development Center has been designated by GovTech as one of the two Agile Development Center outside of GovTech HQ in the government. And the pioneering work journey was difficult, but rewarding. So Agile is difficult as it seems to disrupt all the good and best practices of what does good project management look like. It is true, actually, Agile is difficult. It's not easy to change, okay, from a waterfall to Agile. It is about making changes to the many proven and established practices and ideas that you have been used to doing. However, it doesn't mean that you should throw away the fundamentals and principles of project management. It is still important to have a plan. But instead of sticking firmly to it, you need to have the mindset that the plan will not see you through until the launch of the product. As it is quite certain that the plan will be outdated the moment that you get it signed. So don't spend months doing out a plan to the lowest level of detail, but be ready to respond to changes. And the Agile Manifesto has clearly stated the shift required from the traditional waterfall method. Yeah, some of you might think that Agile is messy also. Why? Because users are encouraged to make changes along the way. So how to manage a change that frequently changes? I mean, a project that frequently have changes. So in fact, actually, Agile is actually quite rigid in the sense that it requires a lot of discipline. There are many rituals and practices that you need to adhere to. Such rituals and practices are effective in managing the dynamic changes. So on the top right corner, you can see that daily standout, product showcase, retrospective, charts. Those are not just good to have, but each of these tools has its value. You're soon to realize the benefit of using them as soon as you start doing it. And all these practices allow early intervention, and improvement can be implemented before the next sprint or next release. On the left, you can see that I put down there, Agile is also focuses a lot on value. It's not about following a plan. To start off, of course, you need to define the value, and there are techniques and tools to help you to define what's important to users. And quality is important too. Quality is key in Agile. And you need, I put that there, obsessed with product quality. There are many ways to improve quality, and sticking to such practices will help you to address the issues earlier, and it's cheaper to fix a problem as early as possible. And of course, the most important factor of a successful Agile project is none other than the people, the team. We value contribution of individuals rather than the hierarchy and the rank of the person. We do team-based hiring, as team dynamic is important to a successful team and project. And of course, I think the principle of self-organizing teams. So these are, in fact, actually good practices that actually seems like a bit, I would say that you think that these are not something that you can actually do without, but actually, on the contrary, these are something that you really have to stick to it, yeah, and it will help you to be successful. Next slide, please. With Agile, user get working software early and frequently. So this diagram actually illustrates clearly the value of an iterative and incremental approach. On the bottom part, you can see the software at the bottom is deliver. And a software that deliver, you can get the input and the feedback from the user is important. And you can actually deliver software along the incrementally until the end. Unlike the waterfall, you get a big chunk at the end. So that's where also I mentioned, that's the topic of my presentation. I'll talk about feedback can be obtained early as possible as you roll out the software, working software, and any mistakes or failure can be detected early. So if you think that actually is something really is not worth doing, you can stop doing and really go restart. But the change is just only the part that you have rolled out instead of wait until many months later and a big chunk at the end. So the iterative incremental approach allows users and the product owner to learn and actually to define, to learn and improve on how they can define what is good for them. This is important learning as well. Yeah. Next slide. Transition to Agile requires a total change of mindset and culture. In fact, this is the fundamental. It's not about whether the practice is, whether you're here to practice, but it's already the mindset. So the change requires time commitment of all job roles and stakeholders as well. It is incremental and iterative. It's preferred that the team resources are dedicated to the project. Unlike the batch mode of waterfall method, whereby you use the Word document, you write something, you send to somebody review, then you can get on to do other things. When the document come back, you edit it, then go through a few rounds to get the document finalized. So this way of working is definitely not the DNA of Agile. Agile, we are talking about coming together to discuss and work together. So instead of I review, let's work together and let's talk. So the change is quite fundamental. Next slide. And Agile is visible. You can see from the chart that Agile actually, the visibility of Agile start from beginning of the project. Unlike waterfall, it's only towards a certain point in time. And the business value, the adaptability and the risk is also different for the two different methods. For business value, you can see that the value actually for Agile is higher at the start and it's actually continuous. Similarly, you can adapt because actually it's incremental and iterative. And because of that, you are able to reduce the risk of the project. Next slide. And all of us in the industry know that technical resources are very precious. So Agile promotes better use of resources. So in traditional waterfall project approach, it is fixed price, right? So it's like buffet style, no? So all you can eat. So it drives the kiasu behavior for the user to define everything under the sun that they need to have, they imagine to have, to be included, even including requirement that might not be frequently used or rarely used, just in case. But on the other hand, Agile focuses on value. The project team builds what is important, and users have the opportunity to add and drop requirements, so they are not being fixated that must define everything up front. And they actually define as and when they go, so it's a lot more manageable. So at the end of the day, if you are full, you don't need to order dessert or cakes, right? So in a way, it's already encourage a better use of the resources. Next slide. So building agile capability is a strategic decision for the organization. And it's not a trivial matter to make it work. So you require a lot of effort, okay? So let me share what did we do actually to build this capability. So for one of the project, what we did is that we started off with a pilot project. So we pull a few users out from their daily work. Of course, you must choose the right one. And a dedicated team, a small team, to work alongside for a period of time. And we define clearly what they need to do and things like that. So it was an eye-opener for most people, in fact, all the people in the team. And the team concluded together with the management that it was something worthwhile doing as a team, and it's for real, that we want to actually move on. We want to transform how we deliver software to the business. So we went to the management and seek support, get some budget to start the first product. So for the first product, what we did was that we also think that we are new. In fact, actually, when we started off, this one was in 2012. It was pretty new in Singapore, and you can't find people who or resources that really have experience in it. So what we did, we decided to outsource first. So we decided to outsource and learn by pairing with the agile partners. And actually, this process also in a way is very good, because with that process, we have gained deeper understanding of what is agile about. We also took the chance to set up the tools, the platform, and the various practices so that the team can move on. And in the next phase, we decided to do full in-house, because we think that we have already acquired the necessary the experience. And actually, we have a core team of 6 actually assigned to with the agile partners to work alongside with them. So in the next phase, this 6-person actually become in a way, a bit of the team lead. So they actually lead teams actually to be in-house. Then we hire additional resources, and we want it to be self-reliant. And that's where we actually deepen the agile and engineering capability with the full teams, a squad with delivery manager, business analyst, UX designer, DevOps engineers, quality engineers, all within the in-house team. Then from there, if the team decided to think that you want to actually speed up the time to market, the speed to market, in fact, actually, you can even scale up subsequently with co-sourcing. You can bring in an outsourced partner together so that you could actually speed up the whole development work. Next slide. It was not walking in the park initially, for sure. In fact, actually, the core team was 6 wanting to quit initially, because actually I had regular check-in with the team, and there was a stage that all of them wanted to quit. They say it's too much, because actually there were major differences in how the project should be managed with the so-called agile partners and also the users. So everybody knew coming together, imagine the differences are quite great, and they were saying that, oh, they want to already throw in the towel already. So, but after we sit down and discuss, we got the team also to agree that we have to overcome this hurdle. And if we quit, I think there's no more second chance. So we decided as a team, say we should continue and review and decide on what to do next. So fortunately that the team really decided to stay on. In fact, actually the team comprises of mostly Java developers with years of experience using waterfall method. As of now, after 8 years from when we started, in fact, out of the 6 core team, 4 currently are still in the development center taking leadership position. One of them went on to work for a well-known company in Silicon Valley and happily got married there. And in fact, the one just left last month to take on a very senior position in a large SI company in Singapore. So after tasted the goodness of Agile, in fact, actually one of them told me last year before I move on to take on this new job in Assurity, that they told me that they can't think of any other way other than Agile. So there's no turning back, okay? So what are the ingredients of successful Agile? You can see in this slide is a bit busy, but basically actually it captures a few key learning points that I will say that we actually gather through the various projects that we have gone through. One is about management support. Management buy-in is important because management need to actually provide space to allow teams to experiment and try out, and also to actually change the working protocol. In the past, actually, we do actually submit progress report, we do steering com, but we actually have removed all this. So we told, in fact, actually my boss then was deputy secretary of the ministry, to say that we need you to change also. You need to come to our product showcase every Tuesday, 5 p.m. And we actually book your time, but please attend. And if you, in a way, don't come and we make a decision at the session, we'll move on with that. If you come again, it's too late already. So in a way, he accepted it and he really changed and he really made effort to come and participate in the whole process. And it really gives us confidence that that the management is really focused about wanting the change and also focused about seriously about wanting to build this product and the capability internally. I think this is a very important part of it. In fact, actually, sometimes we really got a certain issue. In fact, the DS was saying that actually it's okay. It's a learning process. So actually, that really gives us a lot of comfort to move on. And the space definitely is important. The design the workspace, but because of the COVID, now everybody is virtual. So maybe I won't touch on that. But I think if we have chance, I will definitely advocate that everybody come back to the workspace, the agile workspace, to work together as a team. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, the team alignment and culture is important. Do watch out for this. Because you have people who are experienced in agile, people experienced in waterfall, and the user coming together. So watch out for subculture that might be formed. So co-location will be good because actually you sit together, you eat together, you have a lot more opportunity to stretch out a lot of differences. And outsource, if we are doing outsource contract, I think there are other areas that we need to look at. For example, let me see, I can't see because it's blocked by the, okay. Okay, so what we want to say is that for outsource contract, because actually we are so used to waterfall contract, so some of the terms and conditions in the waterfall contract might not be suitable for agile. So we made some changes. I will actually cover that a bit later in a subsequent slide. And when it comes to evaluating the outsource partner, we also took a more hands-on approach in the sense we define a predetermined product backlog, and we actually work together with the vendor during the tender evaluation to see, to assess their maturity and the way they work, and see whether there are some potential crashes of the culture and the values that we, because actually if you once selected them, you have to work with them quite closely. So this is one area that we look at. So we also visited the so-called location to ensure that we are comfortable with what they practice in their project teams. And of course, as a leader, I mentioned before that you need to learn to let go. And this is important. I think learning let go so that the team are empowered to make decision at that level, and they can actually learn from there and actually improve on there. Okay. And the last point is about these tools and whether it's to do bespoke or COTS. We have actually taken some decision to say that certain tools at the enterprise level that we want the agile project team to adopt. But through the process, we realized that some of these tools are not easily integrated in the CD/CI pipelines. So because of that, actually it affected our velocity in terms of the delivering. So you need to actually do a bit of the research and test before actually you decided on which tool to use. Yeah, next slide. So the familiar construct of a waterfall contract of fixed scope, fixed price, and fixed schedule, uh, not really suitable for agile. So it requires some adaptation. But the contract has its value. So you don't throw it away and redo, but there are certain aspects of it are still variable. But what you need to do is to actually make some changes that so that actually you can make the best of the agile development methodology. Next slide. So I list down 4 areas, one of which is that the scope and deliverables. On one hand, for waterfall project, you're looking at fixed scope, you define the detailed requirement upfront and all the deliverable upfront. But for agile, we are talking about having flexibility. So what we actually have changed is that we actually define the outcome. So we define the outcome and instead of the detailed requirements, because we think that all these requirements might be changed. Later, I'm going to give you an example of what do you mean by a requirement will be changed. And cost-wise, instead of fixed cost, in fact, actually, we still stick on the fixed cost, but we actually define such a way that we are able to allow flexibility to sort user stories. So instead of time and material based, so that we have more certainty in terms of the budget that we're going to have for the project. In terms of project payment milestone, so we adopted one that is part outcome and part time material. So what it means that when if let's say the vendor decided actually during the proposal stage they need 2 squads of a team of 10, so 20 people. So as long as that they put the people on the project and deliver and actually do the project, we will pay them part of the payment. And the other part of the payment only will be paid when they have actually achieved the outcome of the project. So it's a case of 50-50 lah, I would say, yeah. So you pay part of it based on time and material, part of it based on outcome. And in terms of warranty, because actually you are delivering software incrementally instead of having a major release for the waterfall, and that's why you need a 12 months warranty. So we decided to shorten the warranty to shorter, so that allow the continuous learning and continuous development for the Agile project. Next slide. So this is the outcome. So with all these things that we have done, the change to Agile have helped Ministry of Manpower developing a user-centric digital service solutions. So from the left, on the left-hand side, you can see that it's before. The forms and the menu is really internal focus, because what we want to achieve is the maximum efficiency internally. So we get the so-called the public do a lot of form filling, a lot of redundant fields. So we have shifted to focusing on user and focusing on experience. And actually, we also guided them on how to do. So basically, you put in the personalization information. Once a user log in, we put in their key information, their past information, the expiry date. We also aggregate the information from service provider, the insurance. So straight away, the information will be shown. So they no need to go and hunt for their insurance policy. And also, we only allow them to look at, or we show only the action that they need to execute. So the result of that, next slide. So the Agile, actually, because of the Agile process, it allows the product owners to redefine the service delivery to the customers. For example, on the left, in the past, when the work pass are being renewed, we will check on the expiry date of the passport for domestic workers. So you need to go and renew your passport before you can apply for the permit. So you can see the stress and the hassle the user need to go through before they can even apply for the renewal. So because of the Agile process, we are able to incrementally talk about what are the changes we want to make, and we decided to delink the two at each release. If you have done a waterfall project, all this could be already upfront, you have to define, and the partner, the vendor have to really do the delivery, and the change will be very painful and difficult. For example, the second one example is that if you have done as a waterfall contract, you have defined that you need to have an appointment module, allow people to make appointment to come to the counter to collect the card. But what we have done that through the process, we are able to make changes. We decided that instead of them coming to the counter, we deliver the cards to them through the courier service. So this is possible. And instead of them scanning, the document will allow photo to be submitted as well. Next slide. So the change to the Agile, next slide, has actually enhanced the relationship. So what we have at the end of it is that we have happy customers. The customer give us very high rating after we transform the digital services, and their transaction time reduced, and they can do self-help and reducing a lot of cost paying to the employment agent. And the user are also productive in the sense that they are able to deploy much more faster. They spend less time reviewing document, but they can see the working software. And for the IT team, they are a lot more motivated and engaged. So at the end of it, everybody are happy. So in fact, actually, this relationship is important, because if you know about this core theory of success, relationship is the fundamental of theory of success, of success in a sense. So if a good relationship is translated to good thinking, and translated to good action, and translated to good outcome, and reinforce positive relationship. Next slide. So you can see that the transition to Agile is not easy, but definitely rewarding. So this is my last slide. I encourage all of us to really keep on trying, keep on believing, and I think importantly to keep an open mind. Don't kill the idea too fast. Let the team experiment, and focus on quality over quantities. And also to start small, try out in small area, and fail early. Fail early in the sense that you deliver the software, test it out, get the feedback so that you know whether it works. If not, then you got to change. And you start small, pivot and scale up, and adapt and iterate. And of course, Agile is not the only discipline that we need to have. As an IT professional, there are other aspects and mindset change that we need to have as well. So you need to have a product mindset, and also the user experience design, and also what's the last one? Huh? The third one will be the design thinking. Design thinking is very important in the sense that design thinking actually focus on the user, and also the persona, right? So during our development, actually what we did that we define the persona of the users. So we put a user, and we describe what is this user, the characteristics and the personality of this user. We put it on the wall. So they remind our developers and our squad to always think about whatever decision they make must be with the user in mind. So these are the important other aspects other than Agile that you need to actually do. So just alone, Agile alone, it might not be good enough. Yeah. Okay. So I think lastly, the next slide is really the journey is the destination. So hopefully with this sharing, don't hesitate. Start today if you have not are still undecided to change to Agile software development. And there are many courses and material that you could tap on. And of course, definitely the PM chapter will be able to help to help you on that.